A lot of women can't stand other women succeeding, can't stand other women getting the men that they would love to be able to get. There's a lot of jealousy, and that is one of the biggest undertones within this bias. Now, before we get stuck in, I am a new channel and I've had some amazing views lately, but you're not subscribing. So please, if you're enjoying what I'm doing, help me grow and subscribe to my channel, and then you'll be notified of my next uploads. As always, I appreciate your support. Hi friends, welcome. My name is Edlyn France. For those who are new here, I am the reality check coach, professional life coach who also loves to analyze social concepts and relevant topics that are trending in the media and really dissect how society deals with certain things and how society views certain things. That's always been an interest of mine. And that's why I've created this show, the Social Reality Show. I have had great responses from my last 2 episodes. So I've decided to actually name this type of show. So welcome to the Social Reality Show. My name is Edlyn France, and let's get stuck in. Love Island All Stars has announced their cast. Okay, the lineup includes familiar names such as Ronnie, Kaz, and Marcel. And that is why we are here today. Marcel definitely gave me some inspiration for the show. Also, the host of Love Island, Maya Jama. Now, they're both going through similar situations. They both went through a breakup in recent times. Marcel was in fact cheated on by his wife back in 2023. And Maya Jama and Stormzy called it quits last year, 2024. So they're both going through some sort of breakup, let's just say, or moving on process, which is being highlighted in the public eye. Marcel is now on Love Island and he's still married, let's just say. I'm not saying that he's not going through it. I don't really know the details. I try to find the details. The way a lot of the times that it's written about him, it's that he's probably going through a divorce, but we know that he is separated. And I'm sure to be able to go onto Love Island, he's probably legally separated of some sorts, or going through the divorce process. But it's very interesting. I don't know about someone who's not yet divorced being on Love Island. I think that's a bit techie, but at least it's out in the open. Everyone knows, because it was such a public story. And obviously he's going on there for, the relevancy. Everyone loves to stay relevant, and Love Island is a great show to help you do that. And then we have Maya Jama, whose new relationship with Ruben Diaz has been a speculation for some time. And now it's like the secret's out. Now they've kind of gone public. And I just wanted to explore that aspect of moving on from a relationship. Those of you who've been watching, you know that I was in a 10-year relationship. I'm not in the process of healing. I wouldn't say I've healed from it. I've moved on from it. But I am now exploring dating. What does that look like for me? How soon is too soon? Am I really ready? Those questions do arise. And just their situations really got me thinking about my own situation and the expectations. When it comes to men and women, I feel like men are definitely more encouraged to move on and women are more encouraged to heal. I don't know if that's the stereotype that obviously women are more emotional and men are more hard or something, because we all know that men have emotions just as much as we do. So I feel like there's a social bias happening and I'm not quite sure. So I wanted to dissect it with you, okay? As usual, this is my opinion and I like to explore all aspects of my topics. So don't think that this is a male bashing zone, because it is not. I respect and I love me a man, okay? I love men and I respect men. And I love women and I respect women. And I just love to bring these conversations to the forefront, because oftentimes people will get into the comment section and whatever is the leading thought in the comment section, everyone seems to adopt it, or it becomes this narrative of, oh, okay, everyone thinks this way. And it's not the case. Like I said, Marcel was married to Rebecca Viria. I think that's how to pronounce it. And she cheated on him back in 2023. I'm sure you remember it was quite a scandal. I remember he released a tease for a song. I think it went something like, "You had your fun, now I got the receipts," or something like that. I don't know, I can't remember, but I'm not laughing at his demise. But I remember that he kind of teased that he was going to release a song and then he never did. I think he was told that is a bad idea. Just don't do that. I read that they are potentially in the middle of a divorce. But now he's heading off into Love Island, and I think that is bold. Okay, I think that's quite a bold move to make, to head into Love Island whilst this is going on. It's kind of messy, and it just leads me to think, if a woman was going into Love Island and she wasn't divorced, the names that she would be called, I just don't. I think it would just be so I just think that if a woman wasn't divorced and was going into Love Island, even if she had been cheated on, I think that she would be seen as desperate. I think she would have been seen as just doing too much. And I think she would be dragged through the mud. Now let's talk about Maya Jama. She is now supposedly in a relationship with footballer Ruben Diaz. And I've noticed that in the comment sections of a lot of these posts that promote these stories, the comments are usually with some sort of negative undertone. And it got me thinking, because I remember when Stormzy moved on with Victoria Monet, which was last year, which was 2 to 3 months after their split, a lot of the comments were very positive. But let's dive into this. How are men and women judged differently when they're moving on from a relationship? I want to find out if and why society may react differently from a man moving on from a relationship to a woman moving on from a relationship. Let's break down the bias. So we're going to get onto Maya and Stormzy a little bit later. Let's just have a look at a few more examples of the biases when it comes to dating. Okay, so I want to speak about two of probably the hottest. Are they the hottest? I don't know. Two really hot people who have really played the field. We're going to go with the two L's: Lori Harvey and Leonardo DiCaprio, honey. Imagine they got together. Now that would be interesting. So Lori Harvey, like Leo, dates often, but it's always spoken about a certain way. When it comes to Leo's dating habits, it's seen as playful and even aspirational. You know, men aspire to be like that. He dates hot women, models, actresses, and it's always targeted in that way. It's always spoken about in that way. But when it comes to Lori Harvey, it's always spoken about with a bit of skepticism. It's always like, she's collecting men rather than spoken about in a way like, wow, she can really get her guys, isn't it? Like, clearly she has something special. Like, it's spoken about in the sense of, wow, she's collecting men, she's being ran through. These are the kind of comments that are being made about her. And that is such a contrast from the comments that are being made about Leonardo DiCaprio. And I just wonder why. Why is it? Is it because of traditional values? Is it because of specific mentalities? Is it because women should be more demure? Men are widely accepted to be players? What is the reason? What was the reason? Studies show that men's sexual freedom is often associated with power, while women is tied to promiscuity or manipulation. And that is something that is not surprising. Yes, men being able to get a lot of that is always backed by some sort of power. It's very revered. It's looked at as, yes, he is the man. And if a woman is seen to be dating a lot, unbeknownst to us, we don't know if Lori Harvey is sleeping with all these men. And I say this all the time, and I'm not saying that she isn't, and I'm not saying that she is. I'm just saying we don't know. But automatically, it's looked at as promiscuity. It's looked at as being ran through automatically. Now, Leonardo's dating habits is almost seen as a free pass. Like, he gets a free pass to just be out here doing whatever. There was even a running joke that he doesn't date anyone under 25. When he got with Gigi Hadid, there was this slogan going around that she was too old for him because she was 27. Do you know what I mean? It's always seen as kind of like a funny thing. It's a joke. He gets women under 25 at his big age, and Gigi Hadid is in fact too old for him because she's 27. It's just the narrative that's spun around Playboy, should we say, is so much different to when a woman is dating a lot. And if you compare that to Lori Harvey, every single person she dates is always so dissected. For example, recently, obviously, we all know Aaron Pierre White. Aaron Pierre, that's Mufasa. Aaron Pierre, it's Mufasa. Hey, Aaron Pierre, it's Mufasa. Obviously, we all know. Obviously, we all know Aaron Pierre White. I mean, I can't even go on TikTok, Instagram, anything. I cannot go on without seeing his face or without hearing that song. It's everywhere, and it's driving me mad. But he is so. Okay, calm down. I've just opened myself up to dating, so I'm a bit like, yeah. When we think about Aaron Pierre White, there's lots of memes and comments about, yeah, Lori Harvey's somewhere rubbing her hand together, you know, praying, like she's a praying mantis. Like, she's just a girl. She's just a girl that's hot, that gets a lot of suitors. Highly likely she's the one getting chased. So let's just pose this question. Why is Leonardo a Lothario and Lori Harvey a man-eater? Now let's look at Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. Now, some of you may say that this example is a bit bogus, but let me just get into it. So obviously when Kim and Kanye broke up, she quickly moved on to Pete Davidson, and she was really scrutinized for being a bad mum, for moving on too quickly, for not being family focused. Now, granted, Kanye West moved on a little bit later. I think he moved on about 2 to 3 months later with his first girlfriend. And it wasn't talked about that way. He wasn't bad dad. Look, ignore the other scrutiny around Kanye West. With this specific topic, and in this particular instance, he wasn't scrutinized for moving on. He wasn't scrutinized or spoken about in such a way. And I get that Kim moved on first, but 2 months after Kim moved on, it's still pretty quick. And Kanye has also remarried. And that wasn't that far off from him and Kim divorcing. So it's really interesting that when men move on, it's just so normal. But as soon as women move on, they're judged for it. Who creates the timeline of moving on? Who creates that timeline? Is it society? Shouldn't it be within us when we feel ready? A lot of people do rebound. And who's to say, look, to each their own. I'm not a rebound girl because I know that I'm going to carry things on from the past and I'm going to bring it to this new relationship. So I know that I can't rebound. I need to heal. Maybe others aren't like that. I don't know. But Kim and Kanye were judged completely differently when it came to their respective partners. They were. When it came to how they chose to move on, they were judged completely differently. When Kanye finally got into a relationship was so soon after Kim getting into a relationship. And if it's okay because it's a tit for tat, then it takes away any of the judgment that she had. Because tit for tat shouldn't be happening either if you're putting family first. I've got another example for you. So this example is Jennifer Lopez and Nicolas Cage. And I know we never... You never hear about Nicolas Cage. He just makes some bomb-ass movies. He's one of the guys that when you see his picture in a movie, you don't even need to watch a trailer. It's like, okay, cool. Yeah, I trust you. 9 times out of 10, it's going to be amazing. But what we don't hear about is the fact that he's been married 5 times. Now, J-Lo has been married 4 times. But think about how much scrutiny, how much judgment, how much just how people talk about her in relation to her marriages and getting engaged. Nicolas Cage not only has been married 5 times, but he often moves on from each marriage pretty quickly. I actually have a timeline of his marriages. So he was first married in 1995 to 2001, and then he got remarried in 2002 to 2004. Then he got remarried in 2004 to 2016. And then this is the longest break. 2019, he got married for 1 year. Well, 2019 to 2019. And then he got married in 2021 to his current wife. But you never hear about this. And if you do, you hear things like this. How many times has Nicolas Cage been married? Nicolas Cage opens up about raising 3 children from separate wives. He opens up about it, like he's letting us in. He's opening up about the struggle. Do you know what I mean? When you read he opens up, it makes you soften. It makes it look like he's letting us in, like he's opening up after all the struggles. It's wording. It may seem very minuscule, but words invoke an emotion. And the words used to describe certain actions, to describe people's behaviors, to describe what people are doing, can really invoke an emotion in us as the audience, the readers, the listeners, whatever. It invokes emotions within us. When we read an article about J-Lo and it talks about all her lovers and flings, then it doesn't seem as serious. They put in that he's opening up about raising his 3 kids. So yeah, we're going to ignore the marriages, the multiple marriages, but we're going to talk about the fact that he's got children and he's raising them. He's got 5 wives. How do we know he's like actually actively involved? That's how it's worded. It's worded in a way that still allows us to kind of feel like we respect him because he's raising his kids. It's selective wording. His marriages are deemed as quirky. You look at Nicolas Cage, he is a very charismatic person. So it's kind of like understandable. But then you look at J-Lo and it's desperate. It's like, what's wrong with her? She's the issue. Oh yes, she's the issue. Oh, but Nicolas Cage isn't the issue. And then hers is dissected so harshly and his is just blown over. Like we don't even know about it. And yes, granted, J-Lo is potentially the biggest star in a lot of ways, but in many aspects, the biases are there. Male celebrities are deemed as players or really in demand, whereas the women are framed as desperate or flighty. How is that fair? Okay, let's have a look at the biases at play here. So like I said, is this rooted in traditions? So let's think about historical expectations. Women have always been placed in a specific box where they need to uphold their reputation. That's always been a thing. Back in the day, let's cast back to like Victorian era. If a woman was to get pregnant out of wedlock, she was a tramp. That was it. That was it. Whereas the men could go on and disappear, and that's it. They don't have to even be no accountability held. So women have always had to hold their reputation. And if you've been watching my channel, you know that I don't promote promiscuity. I don't promote um, just giving away yourself, especially to someone who doesn't truly love you. I've said this before. I think that anyone who has you needs to actually love you, and that needs to be proven in some way. If that's marriage, great. If it's not, and there's another way, fine. But I just don't think that you should be giving yourself up to anyone willy-nilly, okay? But I'm just stating that women have always had to uphold their reputation. That's always been the thing that we've had to do. I think there's some sort of cultural conditioning that it seems like women who move on too quickly are seen as like emotional or attention seeking, like they're doing it for clout. But when men are moving on quickly, it's like, okay, he's moving forward. And like I said, this is not everyone, this is not everything. I'm just saying the majority. I'm just talking about the majority of cases, the majority of opinions, the majority, because the majority does become what it is. We live in a time where the majority rules. And most times the majority is often 50% people who have an opinion and 50% followers who can't be bothered to have their own opinion, who can't be bothered to read, who can't be bothered to research, who just jump onto the bandwagon. Studies show women are more likely to be judged harshly for dating multiple people post-breakup. Pew Research indicates 48% of people think women moving on quickly signifies a lack of stability, compared to only 28% of men. So when women move on too quickly, it's like she's not stable. Like she doesn't know what she's doing. Like, can you just stick with one man? Like, what are you doing? But when men do it, statistically, it's not looked at as unstable. And that is an interesting comparison. Why is it that when women move on quickly, she's unstable, but when men move on quickly, it's not the same case? That's very interesting. Now let's look at the public and media narratives. It's definitely a double-edged sword. I'm not saying it's completely one way, but it is a double-edged sword. So I don't see a huge bias when it comes to headlines. Like I said when I gave you the example of the Nicolas Cage, it's those little subtleties, those little words that kind of change how you feel about what you're reading. That's what is done a lot of the time, and not necessarily the whore J-Lo compared to the great father. Do you know what I mean? It's not always that extreme. However, there was one headline that really stuck out to me, which was when Stormzy got with Victoria Monet. And one of the headlines that I read said that Stormzy fans go wild for, you know, his new recoupling. And then when you look at headlines about Maya Jama's new relationship, I'm seeing things like, Maya, be careful dating a footballer, you know, like she's stupid, like she can't make an informed decision. No, what about the fans go wild for Maya? Like, I'm happy for her. Like, yes, get you a footballer. Like, I'm happy for her. And I know a lot of people are. So it's kind of like, what can we have a positive spin on hers as well? So it's just those minor subtleties that do invoke emotion within you. And it's so interesting that telling Maya to be careful, you know, dating a footballer. And I'm like, okay, what about Stormzy? Be careful dating a married woman. Because as far as I'm aware, Victoria Monet is not divorced yet. Shouldn't he be careful? Oh, but we don't really hear about that, do we? We don't hear about that. Now, if Maya was dating Ruben and he was not yet divorced, Maya would be completely and utterly scrutinized for that. But Stormzy dating Victoria Monet is absolutely fine, because guess what? He's bagged Victoria Monet, and that's all we care about. And let's bring up Leonardo DiCaprio again. His dating is always framed as a badge of honor. They're often proudly listing the names of the actresses and supermodels that he's been with. So you'll see it plainly, you know, Leonardo DiCaprio dates Blake Lively, Gigi Hadid. Like, they proudly state the names of these women because these women are supermodels and actresses, like they're top tier women in society. One article even highlighted his activism. I was just like, how is that even necessary? Like, why put that there? Why put that there? I don't understand. Because if it was J-Lo, who I'm sure has some great achievements and some great things she does for her community under her belt, They won't compare her dating to her great activism, but they'll do that with Leonardo because they want to soften the blow. Like, we're not mad at him. We're just highlighting all the great people he's dating and comparing it in a funny way to his activism. This is what I mean by the small subtleties that invoke different emotions in you. Now, let's talk about the court of public opinion, okay? Social media is the news source. We're not going to pretend, like I said, the opinions on social media are probably stronger than the opinions of the tabloids at this point. You see a story, and what do? You go straight to the comments. That's what happens. So public opinion has become as powerful, in my opinion, maybe slightly more powerful, I don't know, as powerful as traditional media when it comes to shaping narratives. We spin the stories and the narratives in the comments, and many followers don't do their due diligence. They don't do their research. A lot of people can't be bothered to have an opinion. They can't. They just want to read someone else's opinion and be like, yeah, I agree with that. That is what happens. A lot of people just read the comments and they decide to jump on a team. When I'm on social media and I see something, one of the main things I try and do is not run to the comments. I always kind of sit and analyze it myself first, and then I go into the comments and see what it's saying, because I want to have my own opinion. I want to know what thoughts are my own. I go into the comments open-minded and allow myself to be able to explore different opinions rather than having no opinion and just going into the comments and allowing someone to tell me how I should feel. And that is what is happening with social media right now. And that is what gets on my nerves. And that's why I've started this show, so that we can dissect together different opinions. We're not just going to jump on one. We're going to dissect all aspects of different opinions. So obviously social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, X, YouTube even, they have amplified everyday voices. Let's see what the comments were commenting about Marcel going into Love Island. So there's a lot of comments like, he deserves it. He deserves happiness after all he's been through. Let him live. One comment is because obviously there was a post discussing whether it was okay for a married man to go on a show like this. It clearly shows that the fact that Marcel was cheated on has gained him some sympathy. Another comment is, he was married, he got cheated on, he needs to do what makes him happy. And don't get me wrong, there are some other comments. This one commenter says he is very much legally married. So how does this work? I'm sure you need to be classed as single. Don't get me wrong, like I said, there are some concerns, but the majority appear to be saying, let the man be happy, let him live, let him enjoy himself. He got cheated on. Feel sorry for him and let him go and be free. And it's funny that Marcel gets sympathy for being cheated on, where Maya Jama also got cheated on by Stormzy. And I know she got back with him, but that seems to be completely diminished. That doesn't exist anymore. And I know she got back with him. I'm just saying, she also did get cheated on, and you never know if that played a part in their second breakup. I'm just saying. And let's not forget that Marcel cheated on his ex-girlfriend Gabby, who's actually going to be in Love Island with him, which is absolutely crazy. Love Island, they know what they're doing, They know what they're doing. And then let's look at some of the comments when Stormzy and Victoria Monet were first linked to one another. He was celebrated for finding love again. Fans were saying things like, good for him. He deserves happiness. You know what? Fairs. As he should. As one gone and next one born. Gaza forever. And then when you look at Maya's comments, it's like, she's always with a new man. Oh, she's ran through. Every week, new man. She has a boyfriend every other week. No, she doesn't. Maya and her rich men. She has a type. Rich. Always has to lead to something. She can't just like a man. And Maya's rich herself. What is she going to date? Broke? Why would she do that? And like I said, I didn't see no one say anything about Victoria Monet. Oh, Stormzy likes, a girl with money. He likes the Hollywood. He wants an American. Like, nothing like that. Analysis by Media Matters found that 72% of articles about women moving on focus on their personal life, while 60% of articles about men moving on frame it as part of their growth and success. This is what I mean. It's always framed in a way that it's like positive, it's empowering. For women, you delve into their personal life. You delve into all the bits about them and making it about them being the issue. And look, I understand that women, we love a gossip. Okay, we love to kiki, we do, and we love to dissect into people's personal lives. I'm not gonna say it's not necessarily our fault. And these comments aren't just from men, they're from men and women, and oftentimes a lot of women. And I think that that is part of it. I think that women are jealous of other women. I do. I think that women are jealous of other women, and I think that that is one of the major playing cards within this topic. A lot of women can't stand other women succeeding, can't stand other women getting the men that they would love to be able to get. There's a lot of jealousy, and that is one of the biggest undertones within this bias. It really is. But with comments like being ran through and things like that, that always comes from the men. And the men are the most promiscuous. So it's like, can you just keep your opinions to yourself? It just bears the question of why men get the sympathy and women get the scrutiny. The comparisons between women like Maya, Laurie Harvey, J-Lo, it shows the way that the public critiques women who move on from relationships quickly or just in general. These women are often labeled serial daters, man-eaters, unstable, despite no evidence that actually backs this. And then with men, it's like a natural step of healing. Like, of course, yes, one gone and next one born. Like, it's fine. I don't hear no man being talked to like he's been ran through or that he's doing the run throughing. I don't know. How would we put it? I don't know. We need to come up with one for men. And this leads me to believe that there is a huge selective sympathy when it comes to the public. We're so selective with who we sympathize with, even if the situations are similar, and even at times where the situation is worse for one, we'll sympathize for the other. Public opinion tends to have a very short memory. Although Marcel's past scandals, cheating on Gabby, has been brought up in the comments, and they have, the majority are completely disregarding that, and they're focused on the fact that he's the victim. And then Maya is held at a completely different standard. Public discord is continuously linking her to her past relationships. Oh, weren't she engaged to Ben Simmons? Oh, now she's with Ruben. Oh, she left Stormzy. Like, what's wrong with her? What's wrong with her is the narrative that's placed on to her, is what's wrong with her. This reflects societal expectations that women must prove that they have healed before moving on, whereas men are granted the space to date freely. And that's where a lot of hurt comes in, because a lot of men who aren't ready, who aren't really free, who aren't really finished, who probably have left the door ajar because, you know, they haven't healed, and emotionally as well, anger issues, all these things, and then they'll get into another relationship or they'll get with another woman and they'll break her heart because they weren't ready. They're just granted the opportunity to just be free and to date without any judgment or scrutiny. And that leads to a lot of issues. So when is it okay to move on? I mean, if we're going by societal standards, then never. But societal pressures often dictate the timeline of when you should move on, which is crazy to me, because if we go into relationships, everyday relationships, we know how much of a mess they are. You know, you can't tell me that you don't know a friend, a cousin, an acquaintance who's having some messy relationship, who's back and forth, who's moving on, who's breaking up on Friday, he's out on that Friday night and got someone in bed that night, you know, rebounds and all these things. It happens. But obviously when you're in the public eye, it's a different level of scrutiny. But when people are in the comment section, they never actually think about their own situation. And that's what gets to me, because I know half of the people who are there typing away, they themselves are the worst. You know, they themselves are the worst in relationships. They themselves are the worst in terms of they've probably left their man in 1 month and moved on by month 2. And it's absolutely fine. And already saying, I love you. I think it's really important for you to heal from your relationships. I do. Both men and women. I think you need to take the time to heal. But healing looks different for everybody. I can't tell you that your timeline is like mine. Obviously, I have taken several months to heal. I've taken several months to work on myself. And I've taken several months to figure out what my goals are. It's really given me the time to know who I am and know what I want. And now that I've done all of that, I'm now in a place where I'm saying, okay, great, I'm now ready to be available. I'm ready to be open. I'm ready to be out there and just explore and see who I meet and put myself out there. That's my timeline. Others might not need to do all of that. I felt that I needed to do that. Maybe it's because I was in a 10-year relationship, but maybe it's just because that's how I work and that works for me. But everyone has their own timeline. So I don't think you need to put a pressure on anyone to move on when they need to. It's up to them. It's up to you. Move on when you feel that you're ready, but definitely be sure that you're ready, because you don't want to go and hurt someone. You don't want to go and bring someone else into your drama or into your healing space if you're not healed already. People like Maya and Marcel who are in the public eye, it must be extremely difficult for them because they can't just focus on what they want. They can't just focus on, okay, I need to go on Love Island because I need some distraction. I want to put myself out there maybe and just dabble in dating again. Maya, I'm now ready to move on. I've met someone amazing and I want to be with him. But now on top of that, they've got public scrutiny. So I do feel for them in that sense because they just can't just live, you know. But that's obviously the game. That's the life they've chosen, I guess. Moving on is a personal decision, and societal expectations should not dictate anything when it comes to who, when, or how you move on. So there are some biases when it comes to moving on from relationships, when it comes to public scrutiny and the media. There are. Women are seen as flighty, as unstable, as desperate. Like all those kind of words are given to women when they are moving on. I don't think that's fair because men never get labeled like that. They always get props. They always get the well done, lads. Everyone should be allowed to move on the way that they feel that they should be allowed to move on. Now, I don't condone or disapprove Marcel going on Love Island. I'm just highlighting the fact that he is married. That is baggage that he's going into the dating world with. I wouldn't personally want to date anyone who's still married going through divorce. I think that that's baggage I don't want. I just want to ask this question. Are we projecting outdated standards onto women? Or are we trying to preserve that traditional value? I don't think anyone can say anything about tradition these days because everything is such a mess in terms of how we live. Some people are screaming to tradition. Some people are trying to keep certain traditions alive. But a lot of people don't understand that to keep these traditions alive, other traditions need to continue as well. And those ones are the ones that people want to sacrifice. So when it comes to tradition, keeping that alive, it's going to have to be kept alive on all across the board. And that's not something that most people want to do. So when it comes to Maya and Marcel, I think it's clear that their situations are looked at in completely different ways. Maya is being judged more harshly, whereas Marcel is being mainly judged because he's 39, to be honest, than going on Love Island rather than the fact that he's not divorced. So it's such an interesting question, and I really want to know your thoughts on this. Let me know, what do you think about this? Do you think that there is a bias? Do you think that women are doing too much when they move on too quickly? Do you think that men should be judged just as harshly as women? Do you think neither should be judged? Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you thought about this video. Let me know if you want to see more videos like this, and let me know if there's anything else that you want me to discuss. Thank you for watching, and as usual, please comment, share, like, and subscribe. And until next time, bye friends.